down to the neighborhood where it feels like your childhood. Your friendly neighborhood buy gives it her all, bringing you the local haul. All kinds of comics, classic and new, Marvel, DC, and indies too. Readers and creators in unity, welcome to our community.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the neighborhood and welcome to your friendly neighborhood comic show where every week we keep hope, give help, and share comics with all. In case you don't know, I'm your host, Lauren, your friendly neighborhood bye. And today is actually our 14th huddle or episode. And we are talking number ones and pride still because, well, why not? It's Pride Month and it should be Pride all the time. But that said, happy Pride, everybody. I hope everybody is staying safe, having fun, however you celebrate, or if you just like to stay at home and cuddle in your bed reading comics, that's a perfect way to celebrate too. You cannot go wrong. Quick reminder, we are doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers. So once we hit 100 subs on the channel, we'll be giving out a SpiderMan set of comics and an indie set of comics. So that means 2 people can win, which is very exciting. So if you haven't already, just get your friends, your mom, if your dog has a YouTube for some reason, just get them to subscribe because we're so close. I believe we're at 79, 80, somewhere around there. So we're not too far away. So be sure y'all do that and check it out so we can get that going. And I wanted to show you guys before we get into our first segment today, my mail call I got. So if you guys remember, couple weeks ago, or one of the earlier episodes of the show, actually, I got I got Jeff Schiller, who writes Magic Powder, that Kickstarter, talked about it. So I wanted to show you guys that I got them in yesterday. So that's number 1 that's been out for a while. And then this is number 2. And there's even some little stickers that we got with them, which I think they're really cute. But I'm also a sucker for a little blue creature, so I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, so if any of you guys back the Magic Powder Kickstarter that we talked about here on the show a while ago, I'd love to see your books when you got them in, or just hear your thoughts on what you thought of the story. Let me know. Would love to see it. That said, the chat is awake, so I think we need to do our neighborhood check-in real quick here. That was the wrong one. Yes, this is my favorite little segment transitions. So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. DC Patrol was first in the chat today. Good to see ya using the Canadian neighbors there. And Eric is here today. We're gonna come back to that because there's something special for Eric today. And Chris Evans is here. Yes, the real one, guys. This is the only one. I don't know this actor you're talking about. Good to see you, Chris. And Anas is here. I'm glad you were able to make it. And it's evening for you. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. And they got it right. It is Eric's birthday. It's technically tomorrow, but we're going to celebrate today, tomorrow, every possible day. Neighbor Eric is super lovely. He's a good friend of mine as well. He actually gave me the Supergirl hat out of nowhere one day. He's such a kind heart, such a good part of the community. So I have a really tiny, quick video for him here. Super quick. Super quick. If you haven't said happy birthday to Eric, please do. In case you don't know him well, he's a huge fan of things like Star Trek, Poison Ivy, especially the Harley Quinn show version, Huntress. He's just such a lovely human being. So if you haven't, reach out to him, say hi, get to know another nerd. It's always a great time. But that said, I think we should bring in our guests today. They're waiting patiently in the green room. I can't wait to have them on. Our first guest is a good friend of mine from Twitter. We've been mutuals for a while, and we finally get to actually talk to each other and all that. She's a contributor for Everyone Media. She's a wonderful human being. Please welcome Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, thank you for having me, and happy birthday, Eric.
Yes,
Yeah.
we love birthdays in the neighborhood. Well, how are you,
Yep.
Jamie?
I'm doing well, doing well. It's a rainy Sunday here in Florida, but we're getting by.
Oh, you're in Florida. Bless you. I'm so
Mhm.
sorry.
Eh,
You have a mule near to protect the house, but I
mhm,
think you said
mhm.
earlier when we were talking, you have like a ton of them, right?
Yeah, I have the Lego one, another one, the one down there. My daughter has the toy Nerf gun one. I've got one on my keychain. Yeah, they're strewn throughout the house. Plenty of Mjolnirs in this house.
So no matter who breaks in or what have you, you've got one
Mhm.
in the room.
Yep. Oh, and I have a Stormbreaker. I always forget that I have this one, the Stormbreaker, right here in the back as
Oh,
well. So,
nice.
yeah.
And the catch is, guys, I cannot lift Mjolnir, but Jamie can. That's why she has all of them. She is worthy,
Exactly.
as
Exactly.
she
I'm very
deserves.
worthy because I have so many.
Quantity matters here, guys. It's just quantity, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm so glad to have you on, Jamie.
Thank you for
And
having me.
joining us today is a new creator who's just on the rise. He's got this awesome book called Mara on Kickstarter right now. So we wanted to bring him on so he can, share his thoughts on other comic things, but also share with us his great book that's doing so on Kickstarter. So if you guys will join me in welcoming Dylan Goss. How you doing, Dylan?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I love how up close you are. It's very personal.
Yeah, this is the camera I have. By the way, it's after midnight in Taiwan, so happy birthday, Eric.
Yes, love it, love it. We've got some people in the chat. Eric is actually in Florida too, Jamie, so don't feel
Oh, hey, Eric.
alone. You're not the only Florida person. And
Yep.
Chris did not know there's a Nerf version of
Mhm.
Mjolnir.
It's one with you. Yeah, it's the Nerf thing goes in the top. You cock it and you just slam the hammer down and it shoots out.
That's amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Our dogs love it.
I feel like we need to find a way to somehow have a virtual Nerf fight on the air someday. I don't know how.
Oh yeah, we'll go. We'll go. Yeah.
I think you destroy us all. I'm kind of afraid. Can I be on your team?
We'll see if you're worthy enough.
I have to qualify. This is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is true. And what animal is that behind you, Dylan? Is that a dog?
No, that's my rabbit Patches.
Rabbit.
Aw.
Oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, he's a
And
Holland Lop, great family animal, very tolerant of my children.
thank goodness, because children
What you
can be
need.
hard. Like, I love kids, but they can be hard to tolerate sometimes.
Yeah.
And Anas says that they love your shirt, Jamie. Trans rights.
Yep. 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 That's why I got it.
And now Chris wants a Nerf gun to annoy the dog. This was great advice, Jamie. Thank you.
Any way I can help the community.
So with that said, speaking of the community, usually the first thing I like to do after bringing everybody in is on Twitter every week. Our show's Twitter does a poll to add a fictional character, usually a comic character, to our neighborhood.
Mhm.
And this week we got to vote on the nosiest neighbor, as in the one who gets their nose in everything. Or I think some people took it literally and they said nose as in a physical nose.
Okay.
So real quick, while we're sitting on this, think about who you guys think one might be on this poll, and two, if you saw it, who you think won, because I'm gonna do a quick segment change here and we're gonna talk about who won. All right, so this week our poll was for nosiest neighbor, as I said, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, Jamie and Dylan, and who you would have voted for if you didn't get to vote. But this week, our friend Emmett Davis, who is on the show, Gathering of the Geeks with Chris Evans there. Great show, Sunday night. So if you're watching today, check it out later tonight. The nosiest neighbor. The one that it's in everyone's business. We had The Question from DC. We had Destiny from Marvel. We had Lois Lane. And then we had Spider-Ham somehow. And Spider-Ham won, with 36.4% out of all these options.
That's a character I don't think about very often.
I was gonna say, what are
I feel
y'all's
like-
thoughts on this?
I feel like that was a literal interpretation of nosiest. I mean,
Yes.
although like I could see if I was grilling out, I would have him sort of floating into my yard, like in the Spider-Verse movie. I could see that definitely happening.
Yeah, I think people wanted to have some good old internet fun with the answer
yeah.
for that one. Dylan,
Oh,
what'd
yeah.
you think? Would you have picked Spider-Ham for that one?
I would have liked to nominate Peter Parker's landlady. She was all up in his business, like
Mhm.
multiple times an issue, just right there. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Where's
Mhm.
rent?
You know, I think that's a good point, and I don't think we talk about enough because with
Mhm.
heroes and villains, we're talking about these big, larger than life things, but we don't get down to the nitty gritty of
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
She was a major character. What can I say? She appears in most episodes. When he got the big check. I remember this one very clearly. I read a lot of Spider-Man growing up, and I remember this one very clearly. He's he stopped a robbery in plain clothes. He wasn't in his super suit, and they burned his apartment. He had to get all new furniture, and he got a check for a bunch of new furniture. And his landlady comes in and starts ragging on him again. And he's like, "Fine, I'll just sign over the check, and I'll be ahead on rent." And she's like, "Oh, Peter Parker is ahead on rent."
What?
How is that possible? You can get
How's that
ahead
possible?
on your rent?
Mhm. Yeah. Somehow.
I think that's a great nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the first OnlyFans star, right? He was selling pictures of himself.
Spider-Man. I can see it on like some big like site, right? Just headline Spider-Man, the first OnlyFans star, and everybody loses their fucking minds. I might have to write that article and credit
Just-
you, Dylan.
The menace of OnlyFans. He's a menace.
That's phenomenal. Were you gonna say something, Jamie?
I was gonna say I'm surprised Emma Frost was, because I would pick Emma Frost as the nosiest, just because I think any telepath is gonna be the nosiest.
And she seems to have a really hard time like shutting it off.
Yeah.
Like
And-
she's really powerful, but she can't really shut it
Yeah.
off very well.
And I
Yeah.
say this as an Emma Frost like diehard fan, but like I know if she was in my neighborhood, she'd be up in the business and eventually running the neighborhood association because she would know all the business.
Listen,
And
I
I
have
love
put
that for
Em
her.
on
I
so
love it
many
for her.
polls. I've put
Mhm.
her on so many polls, and she never wins.
It's anti-blonde.
It's
That's what it
very
is.
meta. It's very meta. She doesn't win in the comics either. So what are you gonna do?
She tries. Well,
She
and I like they
tries.
brought up Emma Frost too because the Cuckoo Sisters. I mean,
Mhm.
they're even nosier than Emma is.
Mhm. Oh yeah, that house in the neighborhood, just don't come near.
Yeah, you can't come near it.
No.
And back to what we were saying earlier with Peter
Web
Parker
pics.
OnlyFans. We got
Mhm.
web pics.
Mhm.
Chris, I think it's a great idea. I think you should start it.
Mhm.
I don't know who's going to be doing the pics, but you can found that website. At least J. Jonah Jameson will finally get his pictures of Spider-Man. Are we just calling Jameson out, guys? I mean, happy Pride, I guess.
I mean, yeah. Why can't we call him out?
Hey, you say what you will about JJJ, but he didn't sell out his photographer.
No.
He was
true.
under threat of death,
Mhm.
and he refused to sell Parker out.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Very
He
true.
has his moments.
Mhm.
So out of the people in this poll, is there somebody you would have voted for over Spider-Ham between Lois Lane, Destiny, or The Question?
The Question. I think I would have gone with The Question. Yeah.
I probably would have done Destiny. Like I would have been in that 4.5% saying Destiny probably is going to be the one.
I thought that was a really fun choice because if you think about it, she really can't control her powers as much as people think because she's just going to see a future and know what you're doing in 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she just knows everything instantly. No warning, no nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. She's going to know if you're doing something that offends the neighborhood before you even do it.
And she writes them down in diaries. It's going to become Mean
Mhm.
Girls. Somebody's going to find these diaries and make them burn books.
The X-Men Mean Girls books. Yes. Yes.
I would buy it. Listen.
I mean, is
I
it
would too.
that far off from the canon X-Men though? You got like,
Mm.
okay, look at what's a good example with the astounding X-Men? You had Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost at each other's throats, and they were getting real catty.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're like best friends. It's fine.
It's fine now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I love. I love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it works. I gotta
Mhm.
say, I think they're getting. I mean, Immortal XMen is
Mhm.
basically a reality show,
Mhm.
just better written, and I'm
Yeah.
enjoying every second of it.
Yeah. I'm app waiting it. Because I was like, I want to read all the X-Men books, but I can't afford to read all the X-Men books. So Marvel Unlimited. That's how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because most of the X-Men books they're not doing the same thing for me right now. So a lot of them I'm dropping,
fair.
except Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red. And I can tell you, Jamie, you and I are going to be crying over issue 3 because I saw a leak for issue 3 of Immortal X-Men, and it's so gay and it's so Victorian romantic, and I need it. It's going to be so good, Jamie.
I need more gay in my X-Men. Period.
Yeah.
I need more gay in my comic books. Period. You know, not just 1 month of it.
I mean, that's true. And if you don't know, if you don't watch the show, Chris Evans here, he's a huge fan of Mr. Sinister, but as he calls him, Nathaniel. And he is a big part of Immortal. So that's another fun reason to read Immortal.
I just finished reading Hellions. All of
Oh
Hellions,
my god,
all
that's
way
the
through.
best.
And I loved reading him, but also hate him so much.
Yeah.
Like he is like the one after they all get killed after coming back, and he's like whining like, my Hellions, my beloved Hellions, someone resurrect him. And they're like, are we just gonna let him keep going? Because like we resurrected them already, and they're like, let him have it, let him have it. Like he's so bombastic and just ridiculous. I hate him because of just like his conniving, but like I'll read it. Hell yeah.
Exactly. He is just so entertaining, and I like the way they've leaned into his bombasticness the last couple of years. It's really working for him, and unfortunately, he's probably part of the community. So it's just one of the bad apples we are going to have fun with.
He's the one putting up the audacious Christmas lights every year, and you're just come on, man! Like it is too bright. Come on, no one likes Christmas that much. Just stop. Like Santa with capes.
Yes. Okay, actually, now I need to see him doing Christmas. Can you imagine? They should have a gala every season.
Oh yeah.
I think
give Russell Dowdman all of them. Just have him do it all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, imagine if him and Emma could work together and just do galas every single year. They'd want to kill each other, but they'd pull off an amazing show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Eric says Uncanny X-Men's Christmas Vacation. Yes. I would buy it in a heartbeat. Hand it over. Yes. Especially if you get Zeb Wells to write it. He's the one who wrote Hellions.
Yeah.
I need him to come back.
I think Zeb Wells would do great on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he needs to come back. But that said, I'm sorry, guys. We got an X-Men tangent. It happens here, when you put X-Men lovers in the same room. It's just
you know what? I'm not even mad. My son's name is Logan.
Really?
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yes, Chris, you won. It got hijacked with Sinister talk. Congratulations. I swear every episode Chris tries to do this every time and it works. I just fall for it. I don't know better.
Just drop Sinister in there.
Yeah. Yep. That's all it takes. But that said, guys, that was our poll results. Our nosiest neighbor is Spider Ham. So he's literally if you're doing something, he's gonna stick his nose in the room instantly. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Giant red nose is in the room. So if you guys want to vote on the polls and you haven't, make sure you're following the Twitter at MBD Comic Show. So that you can vote. And if you guys have suggestions on what you would like to see next week's poll be about, which will be up tomorrow, let me know in the chat. I would love to see what you guys think.
Awesome.
Because we need some good ideas. But that said, this last week was huge for number ones.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Like, it was like number one this, number one that, number
Mhm.
one, number one. There were
Mhm.
like 20 at least or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were
I
there
think
any in particular that you liked a lot, Jamie?
I think Poison Ivy was the one that came away being my favorite.
Mhm.
Because I had Poison Ivy, the Teen Titans Multiversity one, number one, Nubia number one,
Mhm.
and there was another one I can't remember off the top of my head that I read. Oh yeah, Andromeda.
Mhm.
And I think Poison Ivy was my favorite. I think that set up, I think the best story continuing on. It got me. I mean, I was already excited to read more Poison Ivy, but that, like, you have those moments where you're excited for number one, and it just doesn't quite get there.
Mhm.
It got there, and even more so. I thought the art was fantastic. I think G. Willow Wilson's writing was on point again.
Mhm.
And I'm really interested to see what happens with Pam as she goes through this story. So yeah, I think that would be the number one for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's because I love the Nubia book, and
Mhm.
literally Stephanie Williams writes something and
Mhm.
I buy it right now. Like, that's my policy.
Yep.
And it's a phenomenal book, the Nubia
Mhm.
book. DC Pride was enjoyable, and
Mhm.
Aquaman Andromeda is a beautiful book, particularly
Mhm.
visually. Christian
Yeah.
Ward's art is one of my favorites. But yeah, that Poison Ivy book, it puts her as a character in
Mhm.
a very new direction that's
Mhm.
good, I think, because I
Mhm.
know a lot of fans of Harley and Ivy together were very
Mhm.
upset in the Harley book when,
Yeah.
they decided to part ways for
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
because Harley had grown and Ivy was
Mhm.
still need to do her own growth.
Mhm.
Made sense to me. Other people got
Yeah.
really upset. I love that in this, not only
Mhm.
do we see how much Ivy is still a villain and she does
Mhm.
have room to grow, but you
Mhm.
can see that growth is going to come because
Yeah.
she still truly does love Harley and stuff. And that is impacting every decision
Mhm.
she makes, which is crazy. So I
Yeah.
agree. It was freaking phenomenal. And the body horror, that shit with
Mhm.
the fungus. Oh my God, that was insane.
Oh yeah. And just the way, like, she just takes out those two guys who follow her out of the bar. She just, like,
Mhm.
punch, kick. I'm done. Be my fungi.
Be my fungi. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm very excited to see Poison Ivy finally get her, hopefully, knock on wood, her
Mhm.
chance to shine on her own.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
Harley's had it for a while now, even though
Yeah.
her growth has still taken time. She's got it, and
Mhm.
she's been
Mhm.
around far less
Mhm.
for a less period of time, obviously
Mhm.
a short period of time than
Yeah.
Ivy. And so after all
Yeah.
these decades,
Mhm.
she's finally getting to evolve.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
Mhm.
I've read any of Wilson's work before,
Mhm.
but this was
Mhm.
phenomenal. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
be checking out more of her work as
Yeah.
well.
I think it's what I've liked is I've liked how Stephanie Phillips has taken Harley Quinn on a journey of being like, how to be better. I'm trying to be better. Let me be better. And
Mhm.
I like that now Poison Ivy is getting the chance to have that same growth. And that same thing, when they had the breakup in Harley Quinn, I was like, I remember Twitter just being so upset at that. And I was like, it's okay. I have faith. It's okay. She's right. Poison Ivy needs some growth at this point, and we're going to get that. And I'm so happy that my faith was rewarded with a really good first issue that sets up a really good story, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think a lot of times people, it's like if you're either together or you're
Mhm.
broken up, and there is no
Mhm.
middle, there's no actual
Mhm.
nuances that are very real,
Mhm.
where, hey, maybe you will take time apart and you will
Mhm.
find each other again. It doesn't make it suck
Yeah.
any less. So I like
Yeah.
that they are exploring that. It's
Mhm.
a very real situation where,
Mhm.
you might want to be together, but one of you's grown and the other
Mhm.
hasn't, and you have to
Mhm.
deal with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so well done. And
Mhm.
again, I can't speak well enough about Nubia. If you're not reading
Mhm.
Nubia, you absolutely need to. You don't have that much to catch up on, to be honest. You've got
Yeah.
6 issues of the limited series and this book.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. I honestly, if they would make a Wonder office for like the
Mhm.
Wonder Woman
Mhm.
Amazonian team, I think Stephanie Williams should be in charge of it if she isn't already.
I really want that to be a thing. I really
Mhm.
do want there to be more Wonder books, because for a second there we almost had that, and then now we just have this and Wonder Woman. And what's really annoying is it keeps being like these limited runs.
Yes.
Like Nubia and the Amazons was 1 of 6, and then we had Trial of the Amazons, and this one's 1 of 4.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, more please. Like, just make it a thing. Make the Wonder Office a thing.
This
Make it a
actually
thing.
reminds me of that poll they had, the notorious poll where they're like, hey, here's all these cool projects you want.
Oh,
We'll
the
do
round
one."
robin.
Yeah. And everybody was like, why don't you just do them all? We want all these things. Just do them all. We don't want to. Batman's going to win. Like, that's what everybody was on about. It was like, Batman's obviously going to win. Just do all of these projects. We obviously want them all.
Yeah, and everyone loved that so much they did it twice.
So I like, why not? And then with the Wonder Office thing specifically, it's like Wonder Woman's been around for if longer than Supergirl, almost as long as Superman. I mean, how has the Wonder Office not been a thing?
Yeah.
Like how has that never actually been a thing? There's only been, a select people on it, or like you said, like the Trial of the Amazons event was really cool because you brought together so many teams. It was like it was the Wonder Office, and they all did work together on that line, that event.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, okay, go your own ways.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I think if it wasn't hamstrung by the fact that they canceled Wonder Girl and then had to put like a bunch of the canceled Wonder Girl stuff in Trial of the Amazons, because it was very obvious that that's what happened. And I think if that event wasn't hamstrung by that fact, it could have been a much better event. And I really think it could set up a good Wonder Office where you have Nubia, you have Wonder Woman, and then you have like a Wonder Girl or Wonder Girls line like you do with Batgirls.
Yeah.
You have 3 Wonder Woman books or Wonder Office books. Bam, there you go. But,
they're after us. Is the DC Patrol's asking here, and I can't remember, is Queen of the Amazons the current Nubia book? Is it only 4 issues? Do you remember?
It's a limited, either 4 or 6.
I thought it was
either
6.
4 or 6.
Hold on, I'm checking the main cover. It is 1 of 4.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that was just wishful thinking on my part that it was 1 of 6.
Yeah, well, the last line was 6. I think though.
Oh, there you go. That's why.
Yeah, I think though, because I've and I don't know anything, but in the past when I've interviewed Stephanie Williams, I had the pleasure to do so. She seemed very confident that Nubia is going to be continuing long term. So even though this is a limited, I don't think Nubia is going anywhere. If anything, this limited could turn into an ongoing. But I've also noticed that DC seems to be a fan lately of making everything a limited series, except like the Batman book and the Action Comic Detective. How do you guys feel about that? Like, just making things limited series instead of ongoings.
So I have a mixed relationship with ongoing series. Like, listen, I like your ongoing heroes as much as the next guy, but I've been reading comics since I was a kid. And at some point, I just have to say, enough Spider-Man, enough Batman, enough Superman, Like, I like these characters, but even though, okay, we have Miles Morales now, but that it's still Spider-Man. And yeah, it's a different take on Spider-Man. He's his own person, and I like the character. It's still Spider-Man. Can we do something else, right? But then the limited runs, I'm not sure that's the best way to handle it either, because a lot of these characters need more development than 4 or 6 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard to nail a 6-issue series and be like as good as you can if you had more space. So yeah, I see that.
I think so. Ram V, the writer, has spoken in the past about kind of like how he's done with his Swamp Thing run. He likes doing seasons, with a comic line where, what it may start out as a limited, but you might do another season if you have more story to tell and all that. And frankly, I think that's a good approach in terms of one limited series isn't enough often for characters. And I agree. But what if the first arc's could be 10 issues, and then you're getting 2 more arcs after, and that's it. What if you could plan like that? Kind of like TV shows like The Good Place did. They ended at 3 or 4 seasons, and the writers chose to end it actually. They weren't forced to, they weren't encouraged to. they chose to end it because that's how they wanted to end the story.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care about rings or anything. And I think that would be really cool to explore here where, you know, especially like, you know, I'm a fan of Supergirl, obviously. So, you know, after Woman of Tomorrow, I'm saying here like, okay, now where's the next Supergirl thing? Where is it? And we have no idea.
Yeah.
But what if we got that limited run and then they said, hey, more Supergirl is coming. You'll find out this month and it will be another season or run.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that because I would know more's coming.
Yeah. And that way you can give characters breaks. Like you don't have to have Avengers every month. You can have Avengers be we have a 12 issue story to tell with Avengers. 3 months, they're going to be back. Don't worry. And then you give them 3 months, and then they're back. Like a lot of limited series do. Like a lot of independents do. Where they're like, okay, this is our 5-issue arc or a 6-issue arc. We're going to take a few months off and then come back. Like that would be a little bit more flexibility. The issue I have with the limited series and things being advertised as limited series is, to me, it indicates a lack of commitment and confidence in the product you're putting out a lot of times. Especially considering you've got, to go back to DC, how many Bat books do we have right now?
Oh, at any point there's
how many Batman books do we have right now? And every single one of those gets a commitment. Like, okay, Batman, boom, boom, boom. But then we're going to go like, oh, but we'll only give this character 6 issues. And like, we'll test the waters and see if it's good. It's like, no, like make the same commitment to Supergirl or Wonder Girl or Black Canary or any of these other characters that you would give the 12th Batman book.
Yeah, and I like they bring up, you know, Batman, because that's obviously a common debate and argument, right? People fight all day on Twitter about Bat books, no Bat books, blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing, like, you can have Bat books, just make it not Bruce all the time. Again, you have so many characters, and even like Dylan said, you know, Dylan's also valid in that, but still not a Bat person. Like, then we get other spotlight on other families, other characters, especially with DC. DC's huge on, you know, families with their people. But yeah, like even Chris Evans here is like, Batwoman needs her own book.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about on the show last week a bit where, you know, Renee Montoya and Batwoman were kind of a big deal, you know, decades ago, and then just got dropped off and it's never been touched again. And from what I know about a lot of DC and stuff, DC and Marvel is not exempt from this, everybody, but they're kind of notorious for that. They try something and then they go in our direction and they immediately just say, we never did that. You know, what are you talking about? Wonder Woman's buy? We didn't do that. It's right here, DC. You did it. It's on the page. No, we didn't.
Don't ask him about Wonder Woman from the 60s.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. It's just like,
yeah, it's definitely crazy, but yeah, I completely agree with you guys. There needs to be another way. I feel like an infomercial. There's got to be a better way, but like there has to be a better way to both still, you know, again, I'm not saying, and I don't think a lot of us are saying don't do Bruce Wayne books, even though some of us may want that a break for a while because we're tired of them. But like you can still have a Bat book or 2 or 3, whatever, but like again, have other characters, but in order, if business wise, to make room for them, you have to cut switch over stuff for financial reasons. That's why that call is out there. It's a business financial reason. You have to do it because our fan needs are real, the creators' needs are real, but also money is real too, and we have to consider that. But we can't consider, you know, 1 or 2 things and not consider the other. And I feel like that's what happens a lot.
And there's always that argument that, oh, Batman's the most famous, he's always going to sell. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. But at the same time, if you don't give other characters a chance to sell, they're not going to sell. Like, that's just the thing. It's like, if you don't even make a book, no one's going to buy a book that hasn't been made. Similarly, if you make a book and then you don't market it well, no one's going to buy it. So it's like, I get why Batman has so many books, but I also don't understand why Batman is the number one thing that everyone's going to always get a book for, you know? So.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of psychology to it that I'm sure somebody with a good degree or
you know what I want to see more of with Batman? Remember the Suicide Squad animated movie where he was just like the boogeyman in the background? That's how I want to
Yeah.
see Batman.
That
more.
would be great.
He's just the boogeyman terrorizing all the other characters.
Mhm.
You know, I think that could be a lot of fun. And like,
Mhm.
there, he's still there, guys. I don't want to hear any complaints.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So,
And I like Chris's comment in the chat here as well.
Mhm.
TV networks and streamers swap out their big stuff with smaller stuff all the time. Comics should be able to do it too.
yeah.
I think that's completely fair.
Yeah. And I think there's also a thing to be said for like the Pixar argument of things where like Pixar makes like the reason Cars 2 and Cars 3 got made for Pixar is because they knew that would sell enough where they could fund the indie projects. Like they could fund a lot of their more artsy movies that wouldn't sell as well. And yes, movies are not the same as comic books. I totally get that. I'm not trying to say like, oh, they just sell a bunch of Bat books so they can offset the cost, but like that could be a possibility. So like just, take a chance and don't give it just we're only going to make 4 issues of it. And if you don't buy it, you're not going to get another. It's like, no, like.
Yeah, the underlying threat that's there that they don't actually say, but they're saying it makes it hard. And yeah, that just gives them, especially with representation in media or anything too, any kind, right? Is, people are like, but look, you have so much representation nowadays. It's great. And you have so many options. And it's like, yeah, but there's always the underlying threat. It will be taken if we don't support it.
Yeah.
You guys never have that threat. So no Batman fan has ever felt the threat of, if they don't support a Batman book, there will never be Batman again.
Yeah.
They've never felt that because they've never had to. And that's wonderful for them.
Batman is allowed to have bad books, right? Because, it'll, if it doesn't sell, whatever, they're not just going to cancel Batman, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of these other projects don't have a chance to be bad. And let's face it, sometimes a project is bad. That's not a shot at anybody in particular. The writers mess up, right? It's a thing that happens.
That's a great point, because
and
you're
sometimes it's not even that they're bad. It's that they're 7 out of 10s.
Sure.
They're like, this is good. It's not going to blow anyone away. It's not Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but it's good. But because it didn't take the world by storm, they're like, oh, well, it didn't take the world by storm, so too bad. It's like, that's a really high bar to make anything hit.
I'm happy with something just being entertaining. It doesn't have to be the next big thing. It doesn't even have to be good in like in a critical literary sense. Like I like the Fast and Furious movies. Are they good? No, absolutely not. Is dropping sports cars out of a plane the best way to hijack this? No, this is clearly Vin Diesel's Shadowrun campaign. But it's entertaining. And that's what I want for my entertainment. I want it to be entertaining. So it doesn't have to blow me away. It just has to be good enough for the time I'm spending on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And I really like the point you made, Dylan, about like, Batman gets bad books, but we don't. Because I'm constantly saying that with even just representation. Like, I'm like, I want the shitty gay rom-coms. I don't want a critically acclaimed historical drama that's always yearning and all the historical costumes. What if I just want a dumb rom-com that has 2 women or 2 men or non-binary people or trans, whatever? I don't want it to be a center. I just want it to be dumb and stupid. And it's just not a straight couple. That's literally it. That's literally all you have to change. Sometimes we like our trash too. And especially with like the Pride anthology, for example, I know Jamie and I were talking before we started the show about it. And people get so wrapped up in like, oh, but this isn't a perfect anthology, or these stories aren't perfect representation, so they're bad. I'm like, maybe I want something that's just a little cute, but not perfect. Like, or maybe something's going to suck, but the next story will be a little better. And it's okay. Like, unless it's completely unacceptable beyond, if it's not societally acceptable or it's hurting somebody, it's okay if there's a bad thing. That means we're getting stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of actually a win.
And it brings up something that I often mention about like books that talk about, for example, the trans experience from a very like, oh, look how shitty it is to be trans in America. It's like, motherfucker, I know. That's the reality I live in. And I saw some people talking about the Pride book of like, it didn't say anything about the troubles people are having right now. I'm like, yeah, but also I don't necessarily want that.
Mhm.
I want a celebration book where I can just like turn off the news, turn off the Twitter feed, turn off everything that's going on in the world, and for however long it takes me to read that book, celebrate these stories and celebrate being queer and celebrate and just have fun with it. If it's schlocky romance, but it's schlocky romance that leaves me feeling happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just what I mean. You know, your
Mhm.
entertainment should entertain,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the best.
Mhm.
And you know, a lot of the things that are lauded as
Mhm.
the best, I didn't enjoy very much
Mhm.
because I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I don't care about being so smart that I remembered the
Mhm.
reference from a philosophy 101
Mhm.
because it actually the movie wasn't as clever as it
Mhm.
thought it was, but it
Mhm.
had to shove that in your face. I don't care about my comic having 3 different things that I need to
Mhm.
keep track of and they're all artsy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, if something makes me happy, like you said,
Mhm.
if something
Mhm.
makes me happy, it is good.
Mhm.
That's what it boils
Yeah.
down to, and that's what it should boil down to.
Mhm.
But it seems like it doesn't always for critics or in the public eye, even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Frank jumped into chat. Good to see you, Frank, and said, overall, I think DC has done a lot for
Mhm.
Pride stuff and
Yeah.
not just in
Mhm.
June. Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
I think that's
Mhm.
important too, is
Mhm.
that recognizing where people can grow, right?
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
companies, whatever,
Mhm.
they can still do better, but
Mhm.
also being able to
Yeah.
recognize what they are doing, because both are
Mhm.
true, right?
Mhm.
There's this dichotomy that's created in juxtaposition on like
Mhm.
Twitter and social media. We all
Mhm.
do it at times, right? Even
Mhm.
by accident, where it's
Mhm.
either this is really great or it's really terrible, and you can't
Mhm.
understand the nuances. But
Yeah.
here, you're right. DC does a lot of
Yeah.
great stuff for
Yeah.
Pride and for other
Mhm.
representation, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. That doesn't mean they
There.
can't still improve, though. You can criticize
Yeah.
and still
Mhm.
respect, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I love that they came out with Galaxy the Prettiest Star. I
Yes.
love that graphic novel. It is an amazing work. Um, but and I laud them for it. Thank you, DC, for that. I laud them and I appreciate it and I love it. At the same time, Batwoman doesn't have an ongoing. At the
Right.
same time, Black Canary's shoved into a Deathstroke Inc. book.
Right.
Um, at the same time, yada 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 yada. So it's like I very much appreciate what they're doing, but they could still be doing a little bit better.
Yeah. That makes
So
complete sense.
yeah.
And yeah, it's important to balance those two
Mm-hmm.
out, because if you just go, well, they're perfect, they're doing anything right, then they're not going to grow or change or improve. But if you also just say they suck, they're not doing enough, how dare they? We hate DC, they're the worst, burn them. Like, and nobody take that out of context, please. But like, if people say those things, that's also not helpful, because
Yeah.
yeah, then they're not being recognized for what they're
Mhm.
doing. So why would they want to do better if you won't recognize what they're doing? I know if if I do good stuff, but people only focus on the one
Mhm.
bad thing I did or the things I don't
Mhm.
do well, I shut down as a human being. And so there
Yeah.
are people behind the
Mhm.
corporations.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So.
that's a really good point.
Mhm.
Well, this conversation turned into a lot more than I had planned, which is great though.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
I think a lot of this stuff is so important to discuss.
Mhm.
But speaking of, we've talked a lot about things that make us happy. They're good entertainment. They're also great quality.
Mhm.
It's amazing when you get all those things together, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes you get one or the other.
Mhm.
Dylan, you have a Kickstarter right now, Mara,
Mhm.
that is beautiful. Number one, I'm gonna pull
Mhm.
it up on screen in
Oh
a few
yeah.
minutes here, but it's such a nice read. It's
Mhm.
a good read. It's beautiful. It's well done. Tell us about
Mhm.
Mara, because you're already almost double your funding with 16 days ago, which is
Yep.
phenomenal.
So Mara is she starts off as just a average young girl in a little fishing village. You know, it's a
Mhm.
very small tribe,
Mhm.
and her tribe is attacked for
Mhm.
the river.
Mhm.
Now, before the comic starts, there was a huge ecological disaster. It was a war between the gods that destroyed the sun and set the sky on fire. Destroyed the day-night cycle, set the world on fire pretty much. They used to be a winter tribe. Sorry, not a winter tribe, but a cold weather tribe. And now they have the only river around in a desert area. And their tribe is not warlike. So they are losing pretty quickly. Plus, the invaders brought a demon with them, who you can see here in this page we're scrolling by right now. Impervious to regular attacks, not a good thing to be fighting against. So they used to, well, they still venerate guardian wolf spirit, but they used to have these trials where they would find the champion of the wolf. They would do a trial to see who was the most worthy warrior in the village. And since they don't do that anymore, this wolf spirit had his laws, and he just had to wait around until there was only one person left, and by default, the most worthy. So she was hiding, and she just happened to be the last survivor. So when she receives those powers, she goes back out for revenge, and it is not something that they can deal with because they were not prepared to deal with the champion of the wolf.
Gotcha. And it seems like there's a lot of native influence on this book. Is that something personal for you? Is that something you were inspired to incorporate by someone or something else?
So I wasn't actually thinking about this consciously, but now that you mention it, probably. My wife is half Taiwanese Aboriginal. She's actually royalty in the Paiwan tribe, so that's nice.
Wow.
Yeah. My daughter, my oldest, my oldest, but she's almost 3, was named by the chief. Her name in the native language actually translates to first princess. Yeah. So that's kind of, they have a rich history. They used to be a headhunting tribe, actually.
Okay.
Not so much anymore. But I wasn't thinking about that consciously until you brought it up. Originally, she was Mara's tribe was based in equal parts on the Viking and Inuit. And this was the interpretation of how this sort of tribe would evolve if they had to quickly adapt to hotter weather.
That's really cool how you were able to bring a larger story to that and be able to bring it to life so visually here.
Yeah.
And this is the tribe and the character design, even the home design, is something Rosie and I, both Rosie is the illustrator, we both researched and went back and forth on for a long time to come up with the tribe and the character. Now, Mara herself, as a person, is very heavily based on specifically Daphne Keene's performance in Logan. I would actually go so far as to say, if not for that movie, Mara would not exist in her current form.
Oh, wow.
Okay, wow. I can definitely see that, yeah.
That was younger Laura Kinney, right?
Yeah.
In the Logan movie. That's awesome. That makes me even more excited just because I'm a huge fan of hers. But after, reading my copy of it, you sent, I completely see it. And I mean, even in the design here, you can kind of see it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was looking for artists, I shortlisted 3, and I gave each of them a commission to, make a draw Mara, a reference of Mara, and they each came back with something really good, but unfortunately for the other 2, they were going up against Rosie.
Unfortunately,
they were good. Let me not undercut them. They were very, very good, but I felt like Rosie's style matched what I wanted to do much more closely.
Yeah, and that makes sense, and that's also something I don't think that a lot of general audiences hear about any entertainment industry, but especially of comics, like the search to finding the right partner, the right artist, writer, whatever for your book. It's not about like, oh, this one was the best, everybody sucked. It's just what feels the most right. It's not about doubting anyone's talent necessarily. It's this is what felt like Mara. The others are great, but that's not my Mara.
Yeah.
And Jamie, I know you've looked at this a bit. What are your thoughts on Mara, just as somebody who's got the chance to look at it as well?
It's a beautiful book. Like that was the first thing that really stuck out to me, is just how gorgeous it is. The lighting, the shading, it's really pretty. The character designs are also really great. The wolf, I love the way that this image right here, the wolf right there, I loved it. And now that you mentioned the Logan sort of influence on it, I definitely see that, and I'm like, oh, that's exciting, because I want to see her, like that final panel where she's now has the wolf, and it's all about I'm going after people now. I was just like, okay, yeah, let's go,
get them,
let's do that, yes,
ruin their lives.
I was like, all right, let's go kill some people. All right.
I support women's rights and women's wrongs. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this case, her murdering all these people and was definitely a women's right.
Right.
Yeah,
they murdered her people.
They kind of had it coming. There also is an overarching story, and this is going to be, or not a story, but rather a theme, and this is going to come up in future issues as well. Is it okay, the decision that the wolf spirit made? Because he was one of his spirit colleagues saying, no, you can't do this. He's like, well, no, I am going to do this. But is this an okay thing to do? And this is something that I, as a writer, am not going to answer. But there will be characters who oppose this decision, and there will be characters who support the decision. It is very much a quality of life versus being alive debate going on, and it will continue to go on.
Yeah, I did like how that. I really did appreciate how you did that. Had that discussion at the end of this first one, where it's very much like, it's okay, she can get over it later. It's like,
maybe she can, maybe she can't. His whole thing was, if I don't give her a chance, she just dies.
Yeah, and one thing I really like too is that with the rewards, you can get this in so many different other languages. You've had this translated. What got you to want to do that, I guess?
So, funny story about that. Originally, I had no intention of translating it. I wasn't against it. I just simply hadn't thought of it. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, I have a friend who just graduated university, and he's going to be a court translator, and he really likes comics, and he wanted to get involved if you wanted it in Spanish." And I was like, "Hey, you know what? Sure, why not? Send him my way." Well, we talked about it, but his schedule didn't really work out, which is fine. But the idea was already planted in my head, and I thought, well, I can always just find another Spanish translator, right? So when I did that, I was talking to Rosie about the lettering, as at the time she was also the letterer. We have another letterer now. And because I was talking about, I was asking her how much I would have to pay, because guys, don't just make your artist do extra work. You got to pay them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about Spanish, she said, well, I would really like to share this comic with my friends and family, and not all of them speak English, so I can translate it to Chinese, Mandarin, traditional Chinese. That's what's spoken in Taiwan. So at that point, I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? More the merrier, bring it on. and I posted about how it was in 3 languages in a comic creator group on Facebook, and that's when Rogerio approached me and said, "Well, if you need it in Portuguese." And by that point, I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's
Bring
do
it.
it.
Why not?
Yeah, why
That's
not?"
great.
Right?
Yeah. That's
That's
fantastic.
awesome.
I love that.
And it's definitely going to make it more accessible to people, which is great. And you've got some other really cute rewards here, like you get pretty postcards, you get stickers, you can get an axe keychain. So guys, if you want an axe to go and to destroy the people that piss you off, I mean, you got to get it. You'll have it on hand. And you've got some other stuff here. There's limited edition variant cover. Somebody's already got this art lover one, which has a personalized sketch from Rosie. Of course, somebody snatched it up. Like,
There
how
was
can you not?
so that there were 5 of them, and they were
that's
gone in
awesome.
the first 2 hours of the campaign.
Wow.
And then I convinced Rosie to do just one more. And I went into the back end of Kickstarter and I updated it. And I went on Twitter. I was about to type up a post, and it was gone before I finished typing. I was just like, I'm gonna delete this. I'm not even gonna.
That's insane. Love it.
That's so great. And I mean, obviously, just speak to what you feel comfortable, but is there something that you, Dylan, would attribute to your Kickstarter being so successful so quickly?
So before I ran the Kickstarter, I've been running Mara as a webcomic for about a little over a year. And, I just figured a webcomic is, you can't get much more accessible than that. It's on the web, it's free, we do have a Patreon, if you want higher quality images, because on the web, you're going to have web quality images. It's still readable. It's still fine. It's just not the highest quality images. The followers on my Twitter have been following that webcomic for a long time, and people were ready for it in print. I think that was, and that's the thing I didn't want to hear when I started, that you need to have a following before you do something like this. So a lot of people are going to listen to this now and not want to hear it from me, but I'm sorry, you need a following.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that things like that work. It's not to put pressure on anybody, or it's just that's what works. I mean, if you think about it, like, we as humans, we're sheep sometimes, right? Where, we go with the crowd, once we hear something, we're like, everybody's talking about it, and now I'm interested. It's just how we work as humans. So, but it's really cool that you were able to do that, and that you're able and willing to do that process, because there are some people that aren't willing or able or cannot do that process. And even if they do, it doesn't always work out. So it's really cool to see that, especially for a comic that is so, again, seems so heavily influenced by native culture and such. Like it's not just some white woman that's a blonde running around.
You can also thank Rosie for the heavier Inuit influence. That's the direction she went with it. One of the other, because she does have both Viking and Inuit influence. And I mean, we all love Vikings. They're cool, right? But everybody does Vikings. And I think that's part of what spoke to me about her design, is that not everybody is doing something like this. And, it's, you can talk about representation, you can talk about visibility, but really, for me, even at a more basic level, if I don't see something very often, I am more interested in seeing that thing when it comes up. And I wanted to see more of Rosie's work, and that's why I hired her for this project.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I like that you said it like that, where you actually wanted to see something different. And it's not even that you're like, I have to see different. It was just, you're like, hey, that's different. That's phenomenal. Let's do it. And you're absolutely right. It is really nice to see. And Eric here says he likes seeing it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's, not only going to read well for people that, can feel the influences of both sides on the book and relate to it on their own level, but even people that can't relate at all, I think it stands out for a lot. Is there anything else you want to tell us about Mara? Those of you watching right now and listening, the link should be in the description. If it's not, I'll double check after the show and make sure the Kickstarter link's in there. But it's got 16 days to go. I mean, and I'm sure you have stretch goals and stuff.
Yeah, we actually we are looks like $44 away from everybody getting the chapter 2 PDF as well.
Nice. That's
So
great.
they get a head start. I wish Marvel and DC would do that. Hey, give us a head start, guys.
Yeah, that's going to be the last one to be delivered of all the rewards because we're still making it right now. It's a larger issue. It's a significantly larger issue than 1. We are currently working on page 40. So yeah, issue 1 is a 24-page book. So yeah. The reason we're doing it that way is I didn't want to have it say, okay, I need X number of pages in every book. I wanted to tell a specific section of the story. I wanted to start and end where it made sense. And it if I was going to split up chapter 2 into 2, 3, 4, it would end at weird points. Or I would have to force a cliffhanger, and I don't like that. I don't like reading that, and I'm not going to put out something that I didn't want to read. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but I have to know that I put out something that I'm proud of.
Yeah, and that's awesome that, not only you're showing and standing up for your own creative freedom there, but that you're able to. And I really love to see creators do that where, like you said, they're not just doing things by a page count or because they have to put a cliffhanger. They're doing what feels right to their story, to their book, whatever it is they're doing. So that's phenomenal. And to me, that speaks to the integrity of the story you're telling.
Yeah, very much so.
Are there any other stretch goals you have planned after the chapter 2 one, or are those still in the works?
So we have 2 kind of sets of stretch goals. We have the dollar amount and we have the backer amount. We actually just unlocked one of the backer amount ones today.
Nice.
Congrats.
We're teaming up with some other comic creators, and we're offering PDFs of other comics. Amerikaiju 1 to 3 just got unlocked, and we have for 150 backers, we have Enmity, Sisterhood, and Shadow's Daughter. So a bunch of cool ones, and these are all comics that I read and I enjoyed, and I was excited to be able to bring to the table as well.
Awesome.
That's great. And that's one of my favorite things with comic Kickstarters is seeing, everybody, get together. It really, it's a community just like the, us as readers, are a community, just everybody being able to support each other. And, it's not like this weird competition. Who gets the most backers? Who gets the most money? Like everybody's like, oh, you got a book, throw it in. I'll make sure my backers get it so that you get more exposure.
I mean, comic creators are some of the first people to back a comic Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Yep, they are, which is great because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just getting made for your book. Do you really back others?" Most do. Like most Kickstarter creators, they're like, "Oh yeah, so I'm a super backer. So that's why I'm not funding my own book because I'm funding other people's books."
Being in Taiwan, I actually don't back on Kickstarter specifically as often as Indiegogo because Kickstarters are more often than not, I find, limited to US shipping. So I'll get there and I'll say, oh, this looks really cool. Ships to select countries. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Taiwan isn't in one of those select countries, is it? Or I'll get there and the tier I want for $50 has $50 shipping.
Yeah, and it's
I'm sorry. I think I'll just
Yeah.
take the PDF. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Indiegogo has a lot more non-US creators and a lot more international shipping. You know,
Mhm.
Mhm.
one of the favorite ones I backed there
Mhm.
was Glyn in Monsterland. I actually
Mhm.
ended up doing a short 2-panel crossover
Mhm.
with Glyn and Mara.
Mhm.
That
Nice.
was fun.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
People have actually been asking for a full issue crossover, and Kevin, the writer of Glyn, and I
Mhm.
are both like, maybe give us some time to finish our normal projects, and we'll talk
One
about
at
it.
a
It's not
time,
off
guys.
the
One at a
Yeah.
table,
time.
but
One story at a time, everyone.
one story at a time.
We're
Yeah.
doing the best we can, but we're not machines. We're not.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
that's really awesome to hear. It's doing so
Mhm.
well. It's so good hearing all about where the story comes from in the book. Those you watching, listening, make sure you go check out Mara and the Kickstarter. And any support is good support. That's the thing too. Even if you can't afford or
Mhm.
don't want the bigger stuff, even if you just do get the PDF for
Mhm.
$5 or whatever it is,
Mhm.
I promise you, it still makes a difference. It still
Mhm.
helps everybody out, the creators, the other readers in the project. So, support how you want to, how you can, but even just a couple bucks can make a whole lot of difference. So
Mhm.
make sure you check that out. And yeah, thanks for sharing all that with Dylan. Like, I'm really excited to see the everybody else's response to it once they
Mhm.
get their own copy. It's gonna be really fun to see all the pictures and all the reactions.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Mhm.
The variant cover is actually foil, so
Oh yes,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. All right.
we all like shiny shit. Like if it's
yeah.
shiny,
Ooh, shiny, shiny, shiny.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Like if Mjolnir was more shiny, Mjolnir would be 5 times prettier just because it
Yeah.
shines.
Well, now you're telling me I need a shiny one. So, like, I need more
Yes.
Mjolnirs, is what you're telling me. Which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that.
I was gonna
I am
say, I
running out
don't
of space, but
listen. I don't know when your birthday is, Jamie, but
Mhm.
just know
Mhm.
whenever I find out what your birthday is, one might show up at your house one day. So don't be surprised.
It's December.
Perfect.
I've
It's the
already picked
time
out
for
my
shiny
birthday
Mjolnir.
present to myself for that.
I love this for you. You
Yeah.
got to plan early. Go big or
Oh
go
yeah.
home.
Exactly. Exactly.
With that
Mm.
said,
Mm.
so we've heard about Mara, we've talked
Mm.
about comics and number
Mm.
ones and limited
Mm.
runs, and I
Mm.
figured to end the show today we would
Mm.
play one of the games I was supposed to play with Joe and JJ, who were on the
Mm.
show last week, but we
Mm.
kind of ran out of time for.
Mm.
But we're gonna do super gay panels. I'm very
All
excited.
right. Okay.
So this is very simple.
Mm.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get on the screen here, and in this, if anybody has seen the show before in the
Mm.
past, super panels
Mm.
where we just looked at panels to see if they were, super funny, super
Mm.
weird, super great. This week we're gonna look at gay panels that are either
Mm.
super cute, super important, or just super hilarious, at least
Mm.
to me. And then of course you guys, please give your thoughts on
Mm.
whether you agree with me, whether you think I'm crazy and it's something else.
Mm.
But I thought it'd be a fun way just to, look at some gay shit. I mean, it's Pride Month. We
Yeah.
got to.
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yes. Okay. So this first one, I had never seen this before. I looked at panels for this event. So this is from Extreme X-Men number 10. It's AU, Hercules, and
Mm.
Wolverine.
Mm.
I didn't realize there was some star-crossed thing with any Hercules or Logan.
I'd heard about this. Yeah.
I mean, this looks like this looks like I should know about it. Like, look how just extra and important it feels. Like it's
Oh yeah.
so larger than life. Like,
Mm.
what are those like in the background? Dragons or something? I don't know.
It must be tedious to have to murder a giant monster every time we don't make out, though.
Yeah, it does. It's got to be tough.
I feel like maybe that's a lot of pressure too. Like, ugh, babe, I pulled my shoulder
Look.
yesterday. Like, I just want to make out with you, but now I have to kill a dragon. Like, come on, my shoulder hurts.
Look. Some people might say I have high standards, but if you're just not going to be able to kill a dragon for me, then I don't know why I should put out. Like,
I think that's a really
come
good
on,
point.
Come
I
on.
mean, you got to have high standards.
You must not want it enough. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe that's it. I do like
yeah.
seeing how short Logan is here. That does make me happy.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that pulling up the leg of Hercules.
Yeah,
Like that is they are into it.
See, this is the
Mhm.
cheesy dumb shit I want. Thank you.
Oh yeah, give me that.
Cheesy dumb gay shit. I will take it.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about Batwoman a lot, so I had to put her in here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about this art style here, though? Because I'm not sure how I feel about the textures and stuff in it.
I like it, but that's coming from reading it and reading the entire series where the paneling got tiresome.
Mhm.
So like when this was a splash page, I was like, oh, thank God, it's just a splash page. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just taking this, if we're just looking at this panel,
Mhm.
I want to say it looks like two different art styles. Like if I didn't know this was drawn this way, I would think it was photoshopped together.
Mm. And what do you think are like the opposing things? Like the things that look like they were put in that don't belong?
It just looks like the two characters belong in two different comic books. Not even two different panels. They look like they belong in two different books.
Okay.
You know, there are obvious similarities in the style if you really analyze it, but if you just go at first glance, yeah, these kind of look photoshopped together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, especially with like Batwoman's like lower face outside the cowl is like a kind of like zombie-esque white color.
Yeah.
And then Maggie is so tan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so is Batwoman a vampire or what? Like
It does have a little bit of like a vampire romance novel kind of look to it. I'll give you that. Yeah.
I mean, listen, lesbian vampires, I'm always here for. So if that's what's happening, I can't argue with it.
Yeah. How could you not be? You know, it works.
How can I debate it? I just can't.
There you go.
So those of you that are into the newer characters and newer rep, Just Chambers, Kid Quick, kind of the discussion around them has kind of died down a bit, which kind of makes me sad because I really like Jess. I think they are a fantastic addition just to the comic world in general.
Yeah. What I've read of them, I like. That's all I can really say.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And here it's hard for you guys to read it, but Jess is very tries to be witty. And so, you know, Jess is like, I'm Kid Quick, blah blah blah. I gotta tap into the speed force, and then, you know, Jess just ends up tumbling, of course, because Jess isn't freaking paying attention, you know. They're just being a sassy kid that thinks they know everything, but in an endearing way. You know, I don't think of it as a douchey way. Dylan, have you heard or read anything of Just Chambers at all, or have you not seen it yet?
I have not. There's a lot for me to keep up with, and
Right.
this wasn't one of the ones I kept up with.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. It's a lot. So this is from the Hawkeye run, and this is Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. So in this one, she has to save a gay couple's wedding day, and she says, if I take this case, if I retrieve these orchids for you, can you pay me? I hate to ask, but I got this cat. He only eats this one kind of cat food. So, you know, she's just doing her best to get through life. And I think that's relatable.
Oh, it's so the whole my cat only eats one type of cat food is so is so relatable because cats are picky.
They are.
You know, rabbits already have a very limited number of things they can eat, but specific rabbits will only eat specific things. And that is majorly annoying. You know, I've been a rabbit owner for 10 years, but it doesn't get any less annoying. You love them, but it doesn't get any less annoying.
Yeah, no, that's true. I like where Eric said here. I don't know if either of you have read Saga, but Eric in the chat is talking about how the cat line made him think of Lying Cat. Have you guys read Saga?
Yeah.
I love Lying Cat. Just like, you're a fucking liar. Get out.
It's such a great narrative toy. It's such a great
It
narrative
is.
toy to have it there, just go lying, and you're like, oh God, I love you, but
Yeah, exactly. Go away now. You're exposing me.
yeah.
Stop it. So Wiccan and Hulkling. I think they're probably one of Marvel's top gay couples as of late. I think they're very well known. Did you guys ever read like the original Young Avengers run when they were first introduced and they weren't really a thing yet completely?
I've only read Gillen's.
Mhm.
Gillen
Actually,
McKelvey's.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm a Gillen fan, so it was like, oh, Gillen McKelvey, queer superheroes, hell yeah.
How is that run? Because I've heard great things about it, but funny enough, I've read the original Young Avengers and I've not read that run.
I love it, but I'm a Gillen McKelvey fan. Like, so I read this after I read Wicked and Divine, and so I was like, oh yeah, awesome, more Wicked Divine, but Marvel. I do appreciate how America through the entire run keeps going up to Kate. Bishop's like, you're bi, right? Like, you're bi now, right? And Kate's like, no, and America's like, give it time. Give it time.
And when will they follow through on that? I need them to follow through.
Yep.
So this is one that I thought was especially important. So it's been, and to my understanding, DC fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but it had been understood. I guess not on panel, even though I thought it had been on panel for years. But Alan Scott had a husband; he was gay, but wasn't actually written on panel until very recently. And I thought it was kind of crazy it took so long, to get it on the page.
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't it Pride last year? The Pride special last year. There was a special. He had a story in it. I remember that.
I believe so.
Yeah, that I really was like, I don't know anything about the Green Lanterns, but I was like, oh, yay.
Yeah, it's cool to see. And I guess it's interesting because it took so long, especially using Green Lanterns, to get Alan Scott to it to be official, I guess, on the page. Whereas with like Joe Mulligan, who I adore, like from Far Sector, she's Green Lantern as well. It's just like, there, she's bi. Woohoo, move on with your life.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that transition instead of, making her wait 20 years or something to come out too.
Oh, it was very quick in that book.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. You know what? I would love to try to make a bet and guess how many pages it took. I think that would be very interesting there.
Yeah.
This one I didn't know about either until I looked it up. So this is from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And these are the characters Anika and Ayo. I hope I'm saying that right. But I had no idea there was like a queer romance in those books. I was like, well, why is this hiding from me? What?
Where are all my queer books? Why did no one tell me this?
I mean, seriously, like kind of like Frank said earlier, for all that we talk about, not having or things still need to be better, there's still we have even more than we realize sometimes.
Yeah. We honestly need a queer comic fan mailing list where like we all can spread out the word, like, hey everyone, queer here.
Queer alert. It's gonna be queer comic alert.
The queer alert. Yeah. It's like the bat signal, but for queers. Yeah.
I think you might have to trademark that before someone steals it, because that's perfect.
I can't trademark all the queer stuff.
Why not? If you can lift Mjolnir, you
that.
can do anything.
Giving someone that.
I think you can do anything if you can lift Mjolnir, so I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
I had to pick Wonder Woman, of course. But we got a character here going, so let me get this straight. You're from a paradise island of science fiction lesbians with a side of bondage. What are you gonna? How are you not gonna do anything with that?
Yeah.
That is definitely something a drunk person says. Let me get this straight.
She does have a drink in her hand.
Shush. I love Wonder Woman Earth 1. I absolutely adore that series. So yeah. That's
Who
awesome.
wrote that run?
Grant Morrison.
Oh, okay, nice.
That was a Grant Morrison, Yannick Paquette. 3 volumes. Like, it really taps into the whole like did you know the Wonder Woman creator was into bondage? Like, it really taps into like that queerness of it that's always been kind of there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely it's always been there. If you watch what's that movie, Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman or something,
Yeah.
that film will go way more into that than this kind drunk woman here will.
Yep.
So for older DC fans especially, y'all probably know this ship of Midnighter and Apollo. And did they have a story in Pride? I can't remember. I think they did.
I think
Maybe I'm wrong.
last year's I think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last year's they did.
And they've been around forever too, I think.
Yeah. My DC knowledge is just not that great. So.
See, I thought you had more DC knowledge than me because I'm the same way. I have more Marvel knowledge than DC typically.
I got into comics reading Marvel, and then like it was Marvel and Batman, and then it became and then more recently it's been reading a lot more DC. Is like catching up kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like seeing couples that have been around for a long time coming back to the light. I think that's what's important with, couples like Midnighter and Apollo as well, is it's not just all the young couples where they're all teens. Being queer isn't just something you are as a youth or you just discover for yourself if you do as a youth, right? It happens at any point in time.
And and that's another thing we give DC credit for, is they're trying to do different angles, different approaches, different ages. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And one of my favorites, obviously, speaking of Marvel and an X-Men fan, is our Mystique and Destiny. So it was all subtext for decades, literally decades, until like whenever this issue came out, which was like the 20-teens or 2020s. I mean, I think it was 20-teens. But they had never kissed on panel before. And it was absolutely just wild to me that they hadn't, because if you go back on issues, you're like, so they're essentially saying they're married, but they're not, because they're lifelong partners, but that totally doesn't mean anything. That's gay.
They're just roommates.
They're just roommates that call each other wife. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's
They're
just
very
what women
good
do,
friends
right?
in the historical sense.
Yes.
That's exactly it. Well, and for those of you that don't know, so Claremont, the writer that originally started writing these two together in the Uncanny X-Men line, he had always intended it to be that they were romantic. Like he wrote it as much as Marvel would allow him to. And then finally it's on the page, and I kind of feel bad for Claremont because he doesn't get to write them on the page like that. Somebody else got to, the poor guy.
Yeah.
Who are some of y'all's like favorite, like, I don't know, like queer ships or something?
I'll let Dylan go first.
I'm gonna be boring and just say, Harley Quinn and Ivy. Like I'm sorry if that's a boring vanilla answer, but they are a really good ship.
Yeah.
I don't think it's boring at all.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's the most popular answer, and that's why some people may find it boring. But popular things are popular for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Watching their development in the Harley Quinn show had me just smiling ear to ear when they finally goes like, yay! It's like, oh my gosh. For me, I'd say probably Angela and Sarah from Marvel.
Who are they? I feel bad. I don't recognize the name.
So Angela is really weird publication history, was originally a Spawn character. And it was a character Neil Gaiman created for Spawn, and won in the lawsuit with Todd McFarlane over creative control over characters from Spawn. So Neil Gaiman brought her over to Marvel, and she is the long lost sister of Thor and Loki. She is an angel from the 10th realm. So there are 10 realms in the Marvel cosmic mythology, and it's the place is called Heaven. And they're angels, and there's a undergroup of them and they're all female. There's an undergroup of them that are all male that are just supposed to be like worshipers and supporters and they're not allowed to leave the dark in a way.
Mhm.
Angela finds Sarah there, and Sarah is transgender and makes a deal with Angela that if you help me get into the right gender, I will help you on your quest. I forget exactly what the quest was at the time, because
Mhm.
the whole series is told through flashbacks of like Angela and Sarah doing a thing, and then people ask like, "Who's this Angela character?" And Sarah goes, "Let me tell you a story." Like that's a lot of what the series is, but it's phenomenal. So Angela helps Sarah transition, and then they're a couple for their entire solo ish. They had like several miniseries. They had Angela, Asgard's assassin, Angela, Queen of Hell, and then when they did the Secret Wars event, they had a mini series, like in like Witch Hunter Angela, where she's a witch hunter. But yeah, they're my favorite, and Marvel has kind of like shipped them off to space and not touched them in a
Yeah.
while. But like, they're my absolute favorite. And like, real quick, I can get you the cover so you can see what I'm looking for. What you're looking
Yes.
for.
Yeah, they sound really great because yeah, I'm surprised I've never heard of this ship before. But it makes sense now if Marvel swept them under the rug, unfortunately.
So it's 3 that they're in. She's introduced in the original Sin storyline, like the Thor and Loki tie-in original Sin. She's introduced. Angela's introduced.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Angela.
Oh, here I'll zoom in on. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. Oh, that's
So
really cool.
Asgard's assassin, and then Angela, Queen of Hell. So Angela, and then Sarah, and then 1602, Witch Hunter.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, definitely check them out. Yeah, they're my favorite.
I'll
So,
say I have to now because you speak so highly of them, and those covers alone looked really cool. And yeah, I think that's the cool thing of ships too, is that yeah, it's cool to hear ships you've never heard before, but it's also still really nice to talk about the ship everybody's talking about. And like you said, Dylan, there's a reason why everybody's talking about it, and there's also a reason that DC has noticed, and they're capitalizing on it every second they can now after they rejected it for years. I wonder why they switched so quickly.
Yeah, they had this weird period where they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, but they're not like that. They're very obviously together, but they're not
was
because it's different.
Yeah.
it was
We're
right
not going to
after
say how it's
Connor.
different, but it's different."
It was right after Connor and Palmiotti's run, yeah, where and I probably butchered their names. I'm so sorry. I love them both. Because they're really the ones that, they made that ship a thing, number one, and two, they really revolutionized Harley's character a lot too. But yeah, like right after that, there was that period where they had like that Harley and Ivy road trip, which I think I saw Carol Ann post about on Twitter, and she was like, "Stay away from it." I was like, "She's right, stay away," because that's literally where they're like, "We're straight best friends on their road trip." Right after they had been in a polyamorous relationship for like so many books, and you were like,
which makes the fact that they now have a road trip book, the Eat Bang Kill Tour series,
which is fantastic.
It was fantastic. It was like, yes, this is what you should have done. If you like Harley and Ivy, also DC Bombshells,
yes,
really explores their relationship, and DC Bombshells is great because it's like basically all the characters are queer. Yeah, I have all 9 of the series. Yeah, it's like, guess what? You want sapphic love? Everyone is queer in that book. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned the Eat Bang Kill Tour, because if you guys are a fan of the Harley Quinn show, which I know a lot of people that watch this show are, and you haven't read this one, I don't know how, if you follow me on Twitter, because I wouldn't shut up about it the whole time it was coming out. Every single week it was my number one, and people were getting annoyed. They're like, "Lauren, something else can be your number one." I was like, "Not when that's out." Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Harley and Ivy on page in love? No.
Listen, they're kinky, chaotic idiots, and I love them. That's it. That's all
Yeah.
that matters. So if
Yeah.
you have not read the Eat, Bang, Kill tour,
Mhm.
you should. And thank God they announced that the Harley Quinn anime series is finally coming back for season
Mhm.
3 this summer, because it's been like
Yep.
2 years at least.
Mhm. And they're getting a new comic series, another limited run, similar to the Eat, Bang, Kill tour, same writer and everything. So
I'm so freaking excited. I'm so
Yeah.
glad they got
Mhm.
the same team and everything.
Mhm.
Before we wrap up,
Mhm.
I wanted to show the last panel I had for today.
Mhm.
In terms of, it's funny because this couple has never became big, even though they
Mhm.
very well could have.
Mhm.
So North Star was the first Marvel character to have a gay wedding, basically, I guess, in Astonishing X-Men number 51. So
Mhm.
North Star is often known just
Mhm.
by that fact, one of
Mhm.
the first, if not the first out Marvel character or whatever. But nobody really thinks anything about his husband. Like, what do we
Yeah.
know about him?
He's been in a couple X books, but like sort of in like the background, like, oh, hi everyone. And it's like, oh, that's just the gay husband in the background,
What's his name? North Star's husband? That's his
I
name, right?
North Star's husband.
North Star's
I
husband.
think it's Kyle,
Exactly.
but maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody. I thought it was Kyle.
What's funny is I actually just reread the Astonishing X-Men series a few days ago, and I still can't tell you his name.
Oh
Oh.
man, this poor guy. He's just there. Like nobody knows, But that is that representation? I don't know.
It's as much representation as someone could say, oh, look, Jane Foster's in this Thor thing from the 70s. Women in comics. It's like, no, not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. That's why, like you said earlier, bombshells exists. And Eric makes a great point. Not only is it fantastic because it is, but it's also fantastic because they punch Nazis. It's always great. Fun for everyone.
Yeah. Punching Nazis is always a win. Punching Nazis is always a win. Oh, did you see, like, I hate to get off topic, did you see, they had so it was a Pride in Idaho, where like these like Patriot Front people were gonna call it like this anti LGBTQ hate group. Like there was like 30 of these white dudes in a U-Haul headed to the Pride Fest to mess shit up. Police pulled them over and pulled them all out. And there's this video of all of them sitting in the grass in handcuffs. And I'm just like, ah ha ha ha. Like this is
Bless.
amazing. Yes.
I saw something earlier.
Mhm,
I don't know if it's
mhm,
from that or something else, but
mhm,
there were pictures and
mhm.
people are like, I love that they just unmasked these Nazis like they were
That was it.
Scooby-Doo
Yeah.
people
That was it.
with
That was it.
taking the
Yeah.
hoods off and like,
Mhm,
look at these
mhm.
assholes. Like
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I loved
that's
that.
pretty great.
Mhm,
We love to see justice happen every once in a
mhm.
while. We'd love to
Yeah.
see it more, but thank
Oh
God
yeah.
it happens sometimes.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
thank you guys so much for coming on and looking
Thank
at
you
gay
very
things with
much.
me
Very
and
much.
sharing your Kickstarter
Mhm, mhm,
and talking about,
mhm,
number ones
mhm,
and why
mhm,
companies are great, but they can do better.
mhm. Yeah.
Dylan, do you want to plug yourself? Where can people find you? Anything else you want to add?
You can find me at Twitter as Stuffed Rock, one word. That's where I'm most active. Um, and if you aren't sure if you want to get into Mara, you can find the website at mara-comic.com, and you can read what we're doing there. It's updated every week. So if you're on the fence about it, check it out there. Uh, I want people to read the comic. If you can't afford to back it, I still want you to read it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, we love accessibility. We love just being able to read good things. That is really important. So I highly commend you for that. That's super kind of you because I know, again, we want to also get paid for our work, and I know you want to get paid for your work, but it's cool you're trying to find a balance between both.
Yeah. Excellent.
And Jamie, where are you at? Plug yourself. What else do you do? All that wonderful stuff.
Awesome. So as you can see, I'm at Jamie Geeks Out on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. Often posting about comics and whatever's popping into my head. I write reviews over at foreveryonemedia.com under Hear Everyone Reviews. I post reviews every Friday. This week for Pride, the first week of Pride, I talked about Die by Karen Gill and Stephanie Hans. This week I did a thing called Truth. Next week I'm pretty sure it's going to be Girl Haven, and then the next week I'm still trying to decide because it's whatever I read and pops into my head going, ooh, I could write stuff about this. I also do streaming through For Everyone Media. We have things about, we have panel royales where we discuss a topic. Last night we talked about role-playing games as a way to figure out and grow our identities. We have comic cocktail hours where we read and talk about comic books. And then we have game nights where we do one-shot D&D things. So yeah, follow us there. We're on Twitch at For Everyone Media, foreverymedia.com. I also do podcasting with the Girls Talk Comics. So, that's also there through For Everyone Media. So come check us out. We also have stickers for sale. This month, we have several stickers that are our Pride Month stickers. We have Name Brand Gay as a sticker,
Nice.
my nickname. We have a Trans Rights or Human Rights, as well as a couple others. Those stickers, anytime, any purchases, any proceeds we get from them, we're donating this month. For those stickers, those specific Pride stickers, those donations always go to Equality Florida. It's a group here in Florida that's fighting the Don't Say Gay bill, as well as all the anti-trans and other anti-LGBTQ efforts going on in the state of Florida. In addition, all of our stickers this month, during Pride Month donations, any money we make off those also go to Equality Florida. So yeah, come check us out, forevermedia.com. Our Twitter handle, same thing. So yeah.
That's awesome. God, you do like more than me now. I didn't realize people were as crazy as I am.
I got For Everyone Media. We created as a place where anyone and everyone can come find and talk about stuff they love. And we also created as a way where our streaming people, our podcasting people, our writing people can all come together and help each other and do other things. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. Thank you to Dylan.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Make sure you check them all out, you guys. And again, before we get out, just wanted to say another happy birthday to Eric. If you guys haven't said happy birthday, Eric, make sure you do check him out on Twitter. Really great guy. And with that said, guys, I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time in the neighborhood.